welcome back to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions, your home for all things psycho. And today we're going to continue my coverage of Warlock 5 with Warlock 5 number 5? Number 5? But I already covered number 5. Actually, this is Warlock 5 number 6. From my research, from what I understand, there was a typo for Warlock 5 number 6, and they accidentally identified it as number 5 throughout the entire print run. So I don't think this is a special issue. I think every Warlock 5 number 6 has this typo. So that's kind of interesting. Fun little bit of Aircell history. Check out this cover from Denis. Like, wow, this is incredible. One thing I noted about the last couple of issues is Denis really starts focusing a lot on working, I think, with the dark background and going very heavily in with the whites. And he starts leaning on that more and more and more, especially in this issue. And that's very telling in the sense of, you know, how bright and colorful, or just not colorful, but just bright and light filled this issue. So Tanith is obviously going to be the central character of this issue, and this is the last issue of all of like the single kind of spotlight on each person, on each character, each of the warlocks, kind of taking over each cover. The little front matter here, not as fun and creative as some of the last couple. But anyway, where we were left off was Tanith was all wonky, upset about something. Went out into an alley and some kind of thing regarding Savistar. They had some kind of breakup. It's not really that clear. And she was getting ready to get attacked by some weird, like, Nazi monster. It was like, what? In an alley, and she's getting saved by Savistar here, which we kind of saw that was coming based upon the last image of the last issue. So here, I mean, you can kind of see all of this is painted. You can tell that he's basically going with a black background, maybe even black paper, and he's going in mostly with whites and grays to fill in the black matter, or black just areas. And it's just gorgeous. It's wonderful. So Savistar pulverizes our mutant dude, or Nazi mutant guy, and takes his life force, and she's like, oh, you did it again. And he's like, he was a lost soul anyway, and why couldn't you just kill him instead of devouring his soul energy? And he's like, sometimes I need it. And she's afraid to use her power as well, but he keeps saying that, you know, sometimes you have to defend yourself. You just don't abuse the power that you have. And then she goes home to her house and walks through a portal into her world. And I don't know, really gorgeous, really beautiful. It's, again, I mean, if you look at this, people, this is all hand painted. This might be one of those cases where he's using photograph as he's done in the past, and then he kind of paints over it or along with it. And she walks into her world, and there's some kind of evil witch thing watching her from afar. Really cool image. Really love this. We're going to get some even cooler imagery here of this character. So she lives in some kind of like fantasy land, whatnot, of course. And not a lot of heavy storytelling in this issue, but incredible artistic pieces by Denis Beauvoir. So she's walking through her land, and we've got, it looks like a splash page, but it's really not. It's split into 3 panels, and he's just like kind of starting to experiment and work on panel layouts, you know, creatively. She gets approached by some monster as she's walking through this fairyland that she lives in. Fairy world, whatever. And the monster attacks her, and she's saying, I can't fight until I've purified myself and reaffirmed my sacred vows. And I couldn't, I'll run. And the monster catches up with her, and then here we have a knight who kind of dives in to help protect her. So we see this really cool image of him stabbing this monster, and then another similar image, kind of Frenzetta esque, of just the same thing, but the monster is preparing to rear back. I mean, right, like not a lot of words, not a lot is really happening, but beautiful. I mean, almost any one of these pages could be, a painting that you could hang up. Incredible work. Monster attacks the dude. He throws a sword right into the monster's skull. Pretty nice use of action. I've had some complaints about his action in the past, but I think he's like really improved as he's moved forward. And then there's this little like la 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 la. They're just getting together, and he's going to escort her. It's your typical knight and damsel kind of exchange, and when she asks who his name is, he does this little Sir Gawain, and he's doing this like cocky little, like you're like, what the heck is going on here? Is that going to be anything? And then when she's like, you will be rewarded, and she holds on to him, he's got a similar kind of grin. And you're like, what the heck's going to happen? So he escorts her home. And this is apparently her temple area of the White Sisters, the White Sisterhood that she's a part of. And they're getting ready to get it on, I guess. And she gets interrupted by one of the sisters in the sisterhood. And he takes off without a word, and she's reaching out to him. But she's like, come, must come quickly. Really weird. And so she is in her temple and tells the other gal to go away because Tanith is a higher level sister of this sisterhood, White Sister, whatever they're called. It's some kind of sorcery. And so the other person needs to leave so that she can do the rite of meditation, which is only available to full initiates. Like, just for meditation, that seems really weird. So she can get back in touch with the power. Apparently all the other sisters are gone doing something else. So she's getting in touch with the power again. Another splash page, another beautiful, and you can see how he's really kind of, especially with her drapery of what she's wearing, he's just going in with that full thick brushwork. And it's really working. He's actually really not even being that detailed. So I think that probably really helps expedite his process. Trying to put out a monthly or maybe even a semi-monthly book. I don't know how often they actually came out. And then we get this. So as she's working the magic, this witch person, incredible image, excellent use of like lighting coming from below. And some kind of demon dragon thing with this witch person, and she's able to look into her cauldron and see that Tanith is using her magic, and then starts draining her of the magic. This is the one thing I just don't like about the way they're doing this character. This character is just constantly like damsel in distress energy. All the other warlocks are badasses in their own way. But I don't know why this character is being portrayed in that way. So anyway, this dark form comes in. She thinks it's her helper, and then it starts morphing into the lady. Now, it would have been really cool to not have seen any of this, like just maybe seeing that there's some kind of shadowy figure working something, or maybe not even at all. And then get our introduction to this, because these 4 panels are amazing. I mean, especially even just these two. It's just blacks, but look how ridiculously creepy and horrific looking that is. And the only reason I'm not including this one is because it is a little cartoonish, but it's still really cool. It's got this kind of Don Bluth villainess-esque or like Cruella de Vil kind of vibe. Another incredible image. It's like, what is she made of? But it doesn't matter. She's just like a primal power that looks like she could be made of dark vines or tendrils or branches, maybe all of it together, maybe none of it. She's just some kind of dark and primal power. I really love the cartooniness, actually, though, in the way in which he's got to be like looking at Cruella de Vil or um, some other like female Disney villain. The witch in Sleeping Beauty. I can't remember her name. But beautiful way in which the backlighting here is coming through. I just love this panel. These panels here and this made the whole book for me. So this lady's trying to get her power so she can control the grid because she wants to take over as a warlock. So she's trying to take over Tanith. And Tanith's all like, "How do you know about the grid?" and starts trying to shoot energy at her. And of course the witch is like, "Yeah, feed me with your magic." And behold, it turns into that, whatever the heck that is. That's like a Lovecraftian nightmare. Incredible. Yeah. And to be continued, not much. Really would have liked to have had a little bit more, but I imagine this is a lot to work on. So we'll see next issue. Really do love the creature work here. Very creative, very inventive. We get some more file stuff on these characters for Tanith and then for Zania. Yeah, whatever. It's nothing that we don't already know. If you've watched my previous issues, we do. In the Warlock words in the letter section, I did. So I've been asking the question, what the heck happened at the end of issue 3? It's like they were in the middle of this battle. Xania pulled out some kind of nuke, was going to blow everybody up, and then it just stops and then moves on to another story. And somebody actually wrote in about that and said, "Your book is fine, one of the best. I love it. But wait a minute, what's going on here? In number 3, I thought Xania was going to blow everybody up with that missile. What's going on? Your covers are fine, but the interiors look like they've been rushed through. I think you should take more time. It could be better. Maybe you change to bi-monthly just for the art." Yeah, it was around like issue 2 or 3 where it seemed like he was starting to rush through the interiors a little bit. So their answer is, what's going on is that everyone had the good sense to get out of Xania's place damn quick and not try to call her bluff. With a guy like her, she probably wasn't bluffing. If the other warlocks hadn't left her alone, there wouldn't be any series world left. What typo? And the series would be over, right? We assumed you would fill in the gap with your imagination so we could plunge right into a new adventure at the beginning of number 4. However, we'll try not to leave any doubts in your mind from now on. Like, really? Like, the story was so, like, from 1, 2, and 3 tied into 1 and the other. And then even, like, maybe at the beginning of number 4, they could have done that, at least like a recap if it was going to jump time. It really weird place to leave off and really odd. And Gordon Derry, that was a little sloppy. Come on, you can't just assume the reader is just going to know what was going to happen, especially in a world of like alternate timelines and alternate dimensions and like anything could be happening. So you do have to be a little bit clear, sir. Nothing much else. And then we get the completion of Dunwich and Gnome, which is the cartoon strip in the back that I actually really enjoyed. Had a good time with, had fun with. Where we left off, Dunwich and Gnome were at a seance with Josepha, and they were trying to find out who the culprit was that stole the soul stone, which contains the ghost of some widow. I can't remember her name. And then a demon came out and started attacking Gnome. So he's attacking him, and basically Dunwich was kind of, I don't know, my camera's doing that thing, I'm sorry. Dunwich was basically waiting to see who the culprit was in the group, the seance group that was, like, I guess, excited by the fact that this demon was about ready to get the soul gem, and noticed that this guy was doing it. And I think he was the guy from the bookstore. I can't really keep track because some of the characters look kind of the same. Um, and so anyway, finds out it's him, puts a gun to his head, and is threatening him to call the demon off. The demon bites into the gnome, and then he's like, ugh, gnome flesh, and the gem falls out of gnome's hand. They all try to catch it, falls onto the ground and breaks, and the one dude's soul is released. And he's just looking all weird and fun and ghosty and floats away. And one of the bystanders is like, oh, hey, that's that wealthy tycoon, J.D. Van Damboosten. And he's like, thanks for freeing me, Mr. Dunwich, for freeing me from my torment. I am a generous soul. Before I depart, I'll see my wife about a $10 bonus for you. And he's like, gee, thanks, what a thrill. So it's definitely got that 80s humor. But this is just a lot of fun. A lot of great imagery here, and a lot of fun action and flow. And so the demon's like, I'm free from your bondage, Warlock, and decides to just eat the freaking Warlock. And Josepha, the fortune teller, is like, oh my gosh, this is going to be bad for business. And all the attendees are like, great show, Josepha. Oh wow, best service ever. The demon almost looked real, and they're all like, wee, that was fun. While this demon's still like eating this guy. We get a little thing of Gnome saying, humans, bunch of lowlifes. And then Josepha, Dunwich, and Gnome are just all like, well, that was fun. Wah, wah. And that's basically it, really. Really love the flow of the faces here. Just like really, almost kind of like a liquidy sort of feel to the way this guy draws is very interesting. In the last panel, the ghost finally visits the widow, and she gets startled, I guess, and that's it. It's all finished. Yeah, I wonder what happened to Dunwich and Gnome, if it ever became anything. Gordon Derry wrote it in art by Brian Donnelly, so maybe this is the only place Dunwich and Gnome ever lived. Who knows? More letters, but man, I did not have the energy to read through them. And then we get a cool ad for Dragon Ring in the back. Science fiction meets occult and blends with martial arts. I mean, 100%. I need to start going through some Dragon Ring. Aircell had some cool stuff, man. So that's Warlock 5, number 6. Just amazing. Beautiful, beautiful cover. You can't fault Gordon or Denis Beauvoir on his art at all. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed this. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. You can also sign up to my Patreon, and I also have my own books and comics that I create that you can purchase from me in my shop as well. I would love your support. Everyone take care, stay safe, and keep it psycho.